Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm going to react into what is the limit of forgiveness, Acharya Prashant. So, at CRCC. So, I always hear it's like, oh, forgiveness, forgiveness, all this and that. Is there a limit? To me, I say, don't be a fool. And what I mean by that is, obviously, you can forgive people. But don't be a fool. Meaning that you don't forgive people indefinitely, especially if they constantly use you or lie to you. You can forgive them for a few things, so long as they're not, how do I say, repeat offenders on those same things, then, it can be, forgiveness can be given. So obviously, like if someone borrows money from you and never pays you back and say, oh, I'm sorry, and then they borrow money from you again and don't pay you back, and they apologize again, and then they borrow money from you and don't pay you back, kind of like that. I think you're done forgiving them for that, and or it's just not necessarily money, but just things in general. You have to be the judge for yourself and where your limit is for forgiveness for anything really. But obviously people make mistakes. People are not perfect. You have to be the judge for yourself whether they're genuine or not in terms of them being sorry, in terms of their actions, in terms of what they're doing. So, is there a limit? Yes. What is that limit? It's different for every individual person. It's up to every individual person to judge what that limit is. It's not 3, it's not 2, it's not 1, it's not 10. Everyone's different. And it could be different for every individual people too. Maybe you forgive them twice, maybe them 3 times, maybe that person 10, But there's got to be a reason behind why you're willing to forgive someone more than another. If you trust them more and more and they are becoming more trustworthy than not, then generally you'll be a little bit more forgiving for them. But of course, if they borrow money, forget to pay you back in time, but they do eventually pay you back, you can kind of forgive them for that. Especially if that's a repeat thing. It's like, yeah, I know he's not going to pay me back, but he always does come through. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started and see what Acharya here has to say.
Hello, sir.
Oh, that's low.
Sir, myself little, and my question is, what is the limit of forgiveness? Like, someone has done really bad to you, to what extent one should forgive? Like, my brother told me one quote, and I don't know who said it, like, only a strong can forgive. I just want to ask this question.
Only the strong can forgive. I mean, okay, so in terms of that, obviously, you can forgive people for their actions, but that doesn't mean you have to trust them again. That is what I think the brother's trying to say, meaning that you can forgive them and don't hold it against them, but never trust them again. Which, again, be your own judge. People can earn your trust back, so let them prove themselves to you that they are trustworthy again. You don't have to say, you failed my trust test. You have 50 tests right here, 50 right there, and there, and then and there. If you pass it all, then I can trust you again. No, it's not that. It's little things, whether they're truthful to you, whether they do things for you, or whatever your criteria may be. But you can't exactly tell them that. It's like, oh yeah, I can forgive you if you do these 50 things right here.
The question is, what is the limit of forgiveness? To what extent can one keep forgiving, right?
Yes.
It's low for some odd reason.
To the extent you are strong enough to not get hurt. The question of forgiveness arises only when you are, first of all, hurt, right? If there is no hurt in the first place, where is the question of forgiveness?
I guess I'd also add there, maybe not necessarily hurt, but been wronged. Because you can be wronged and not hurt necessarily, I think. I think maybe the word wronged is perhaps maybe a better substitution there. But I think, excuse me, Jesus, hold on. Honestly, maybe they're one and the same, but I guess for me, wronged is a little bit better because I'm trying to think maybe in terms of my situations where I can be wronged and not hurt because I do have some control over my emotions. You can wrong me, but not necessarily hurt me.
Is there a question of forgiveness? No. So, forgiveness ideally has to be infinite because your vulnerability to hurt has to be zero. These two are inversely related. Do you see that? If you are someone who gets hurt quickly, it will be difficult for you to forgive much and many because the hurt remains with you and comes to you again and again. And if you are hurt, how can you forgive? You can pretend to forgive them. Verbally, you can say, oh, I forgive you. But inwardly, the hurt would remain. And the hurt itself means that you have still not forgiven. The mark of true forgiveness is that you do not feel hurt anymore. If you still feel hurt by something that happened in the past or something that somebody did to you, then you have not forgiven. You have not forgiven. And if you'll get a chance, you will avenge yourself. It's just that you are not getting a chance. And therefore you are saying, oh, I have forgiven, therefore I am doing nothing. Once you get a chance, you will do something. Are you getting it? So ideally, your tendency to get hurt must be reduced to zero. And if you do not get hurt quickly, you will not need to forgive. We have been told that it's a great thing to forgive. It might be a great thing, but greater still is to be free of the need to forgive. That's freedom. I do not have any need to forgive. Why? Come on. Because I never got hurt. And the fellow is coming and begging forgiveness, and you are surprised. What do you say? What for? He's saying, please, 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 pardon me, forgive me. And what do you say? But what for?
There's nothing to forgive.
You never managed. You never managed, complete the sentence, to hurt me in the first place. And if I'm not hurt, what do I forgive you for?
Interesting, that's a reverse into what the brother said. You have to be strong to forgive. So, no, if you're strong, as in you don't easily get hurt, then there's little reason to forgive. Which I do agree with what Acharya here is saying, because I don't get offended very easily. I again, my reason, how I see the world is through understanding. Why does this person do this? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? If someone's trying to offend me, I feel sorry for them because I don't know what in the world happened in their life. That person who doesn't know me, or someone's trying to hurt me and I did nothing wrong to them, then something clearly went wrong with their life. So it's not necessarily a thing that's like, oh, you're trying to hurt me. It's like, something must have been going wrong with your life. Now, if I understand the fact that I did something to them and now they're trying to hurt me, I get it. It's something that's my fault. If they're trying to hurt me and I did nothing to them, then it's clearly something going wrong with their life. That's how I understand things. So if someone's trying to hurt me, but I did nothing wrong to them, then there's something in their life is going bad and I feel sorry for them. If I've hurt them in the first place and they're trying to hurt me back, it's clearly my fault because I did something wrong in the first place. So it's never them necessarily them trying to hurt me, but it's understanding that whether I did something wrong or whether they're hurting in their life. Again, it's easy to say these things, and I have practiced these things before. Not a lot, because most of the people I talk to are very friendly and nice, and they know we joke all the time and stuff. It's really it's really great. But I've experienced some of these things very rarely in my life, but I have practiced what I preached. I'm not saying I've done it all the time. I think so, but again, I know I'm not perfect, so I'm sure I messed up somewhere there. But the point is still trying to achieve that.
That has to be the condition. See, even the imagination of this kind of a thing brings smiles to you all, right? That kind of strength. But that is not the strength of steel, mind you. That is the strength of the sky. There is no steel ever made that will never get hurt. All steels can be cut and melted and destroyed, right? Irrespective of what kind of a strong steel you have brought, it can still be destroyed and cut to pieces, right? What is it that can never be cut to pieces? We said the sky. The strength of the sky, not the strength of the steel. The thing with the sky is, try as hard as you may, you can never cut it down. Try doing whatever you want to the sky. It simply does not disturb the sky in any way. In any way. That has to be your condition. What does the sky denote? An absence. There are things in the sky, but the sky by itself is nothing. Is the sky something? No.
Okay, I was thinking in my head, like, the sky is technically that there's an idea, but yeah, technically sky is an idea of a compilation of things, but there's no such thing as sky. I mean, there is and there isn't. It's, clouds, rain or water droplets that creates the clouds. That's the sky, but there's not something that you can grab and say this is sky.
You say there are clouds in the sky, right?
Oh.
There is the plane up there in the sky, but the sky by itself is nothing.
Yeah.
If you are something, which means that if you bind your identity to anything, then you will remain vulnerable to hurt. And the world will manage to hurt you again and again. And that's bad because you will suffer. You have to be like the sky. Irrespective of what anybody does, it matters in no way to you. If you want to drive a nail somewhere in this hall, which place would you go to?
A what?
You would have to go to a hard enough place. Think of it. Otherwise, you cannot drive a nail, correct? Can you drive a nail in the sky? All hammers fail there. All nails fail there. You can do nothing to that. That has to be your inner condition, and that is liberation. Liberation from everything that is available to be broken by the world. Spirituality makes you world-proof. World-proof. Otherwise, you are just a bleeding mass of hurt. Hurt by this, hurt by that, full of wounds and scars and bruises and bad memories and whatnot. Neurotic totally. That's how the common man is. Each of us are. Getting it? So, what is the limit of forgiveness? I'm saying there should be no need to forgive. Because there is no need to get hurt. There is no need to get hurt. Right? What is the purpose of life? To come to the point where nobody can now hurt you. There are kids, 3 years, 5 years of age. They come and they sometimes do very mischievous things. Do you get hurt? Do you start weeping?
No, you get mad.
The fellow is 20 years junior to you and he has said something bad. Do you get hurt? The little one comes and starts punching you in the belly. Do you get hurt? That has to be a relationship with the world. Not that you are a hater of the world. It's just that you treat the world like a little one. Oh, you can do all your silly things. It does not matter to me. And yet I have affection for you. I have affection for you, but I do not allow you to hurt me. That's the wise person's relationship with the world. I relate to you. I want to do good things to you. You could say I love you, but I do not allow you to hurt me. If I allow you to hurt me, then I allow you to enslave me. Think of it. If somebody can hurt you, that person has in fact possessed you.
That's what I say a lot too, is the fact that if there's a word out there that triggers you, and it makes you feel whatever, doesn't matter what it is. In a lot of sense, you are a slave to that word. I've said that many times before. I never thought it would come up here, but yes, absolutely. And another thing, I think I'd rephrase a statement that he said about that the world doesn't matter to me. I probably rephrase it into the world that the world should matter to you. Things that happen in the world should matter to you, but it shouldn't affect you. I think that's probably the better way to phrase that, because if you say, "Oh, the world's going to end," like, I don't care. It's like, no, you should care, but it shouldn't affect you in a negative manner. So you can care about the environment, care about your health, care about people, but it should never affect you in a negative way. Because obviously Sadhguru or Acharya here cares about people, but he doesn't let it affect him negatively. Either one of them. Any one of them. Swami Taratmananda, Swami Sarvapriyananda, all of them. They care about people. And even Swami Vivekananda. Again, I've heard from Swami Sarvapriyananda that Swami Vivekananda does feel emotion, cries and all that. It's really, that to me is kind of really weird when he's considered to be an enlightened being, yet he still very much feels, which honestly I think is a pretty cool thing, that you can be enlightened and still feel emotion, or understand that your body still feels a certain way, which means that you should think about whatever that may be, and whether that emotion is makes sense or not. It's not to say bring out logic and remove emotion. No, just make sure that that emotion is justified. You shouldn't be just crying because you got a what's the fancy drink? Mocha latte, I guess, with ice mocha latte, and it has 4 cubes of ice instead of 5 that you request, and you start crying and pouting like, "Oh my God, I only got 4 cubes of ice instead of 5. Like, I requested so much," That's unjustifiable emotion. Whereas if someone's hurting or suffering and you wanna help them out, or you wanna bring them out of poverty or whatever it may be, and crying for someone who's lost their loved ones, I think that's a great justifiable emotion. So that's how I kind of also view logic and emotion, is that you can be emotional, but it has to be justifiable. And I don't mean to kill emotion by pure logic, but just more along the lines that, is your emotions, how to say, not making you look like a complete idiot. My dad didn't buy me a Porsche or Lamborghini Diablo or I don't know, BMW. Instead, he bought me a what's a mid-range car, a Ford Mustang, or I don't know anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of buying like those high European race cars and you're whining and crying, but instead you got something more practical, but well, I would say not more practical. Well, more practical than those, but just still like a crazy sports car that's not needed for a 16-year-old or an 18-year-old whining and crying to even get the best or whatever that you wanted.
If somebody can hurt you, that person can control you. Huh? How does control come? Do this, else I'll hurt you. And because you want to avoid hurt, you will agree to become a slave. That's not good, is that? So you have to be hurt proof. Those who are hurt easily, those who react easily, are in the worst kind of inner condition. Your own reactiveness, I say, is your worst enemy. The sky does not react, does it? The wall reacts. The wall reacts, right? Newton's laws, they apply to the wall, correct? You hit the wall with your fist, and what does the wall do? It hits you back with the same kind of force, correct? You hit the wall with some force, and what does the wall do? It hits you back. The sky does not hit you back. Try. And after several attempts, you'll only get tired.
And look like a fool.
That's the greatness of the champion sky. You get tired, nothing happens to the sky. But wall, even if it hits you back, if you start hitting with a hammer, the wall will collapse. Don't try to be a wall. Don't try to be steel-like. Try to be sky-like. The one who's trying to hurt you will simply get tired and will depart, will collapse. and you will remain at your place, happy and smiling and untouched. No? Does that mean that those who are doing something vile, obnoxious, need not be stopped? No, they must be stopped. Because we said that the purpose of life, purpose of everybody's life, is to come to the point where you can be hurt proof. And that's a long project. That's a long project of spiritual growth, to come to a point of hurtlessness. So who needs to be stopped? What kind of forces in the society need to be resisted? The forces that are stopping people's spiritual growth, they need to be resisted. Are you getting it? They need to be resisted because they will not allow people to become hurt proof. But you do not resist someone just because you are hurt. These are two very different things. One is, you are doing something and I'll stop you because what you are doing is dislikable to me, unacceptable to me. Why? Because it hurts me. That's one thing. The other thing is, what you are doing does not hurt me, but I very clearly see that the thing that you are doing will be very bad for young minds. It will be very bad for you as well. Therefore, I want to stop you. These are two very different centers of action. The first center operates from a point of personal grievance. I have been wronged, therefore I want to stop you. The second center says, nobody can wrong me, but I want to stop you for the sake of others. Are you getting it? Huh? So, try to make your forgiveness unconditional. If you nurture hatred for someone, I tell you, you have made that person your God, because you are remembering that person all the time.
Wow. Now, I have not thought about that part for sure. I never thought about it. It's like, yeah, if you're thinking about him all the time, you made him your God. Wow. That's something I could add to my little, like, you are a slave to the word if you get offended by something. Now, if someone is, you're constantly thinking of someone, you made that person your God. Wow. That's a good way to offend that person. It's like, he's not my God. I need to stop thinking about that person.
Don't your sacred scriptures tell you to remember somebody all the time, right? Sumiran, remember all the time, remember all the time. No, nobody remembers the truth all the time. But you remember your haters all the time. And your enemies all the time. Correct? No, don't let your detractors become your gods. You might dislike someone, that's one thing. You might get angry at someone, that's another thing. But never let hatred linger in your mind. Never. Let there never be a need to settle matters. Do not leave things open-ended. Because if things are not settled, the mind will say there is a need for closure, there is a need for closure. I have an unsettled account with someone. No. All your accounts with all people should always be closed at the end of each day. Settled. Tomorrow when I wake up, I do not wake up with the need for retribution.
I wonder, I would ask him, it's like, well, do you not think it's a good idea to maybe, because generally speaking, when people are in an argument with each other, they tend to be hot-headed, meaning that they're just so mad that they can't think clearly, that maybe sleeping it off, maybe for the next day, to come back and after thinking things through with your time away from them, that maybe you can come back and then settle things the next day. Once people hopefully came back and thought things through and, rested for the day and says, you know what, maybe I was a little bit out of line there and I need to apologize to the person. I wonder if that's okay. Because, to settle things the day off, which would be a great idea, but is it always possible? I think you can always settle things the day off, but if you don't do it right, I think it will linger still, no matter what. So I'm wondering if it's okay to say, like, you know what, I blew up today. I'm just gonna take a break, go to sleep, get up in the morning, and think things through to see what in the world just happened.
Yesterday you wronged me, today I'll avenge myself on you. No. The account was closed yesterday. All is closed, all is settled. All is settled. If I needed to be angry, I would display my anger then and there. I would not let the anger fester inside me. Are you getting it? Unfortunately, we have examples where people have lived their entire lives from the center of hurt and hatred. It scares me to think how ugly, how diseased, and how sorrowful their inner environment would be. Think, please think. If the most important thing in somebody's life is just a feeling of hurt, you hurt me in the past, I hate you, and I want to now take my revenge. Think of how that person must be feeling all the time. Very bad, right? Do not allow that to happen to you. Do not allow that to happen to you. Only the greatest needs to be remembered all the time. Only that which is worthy of your love needs to be remembered all the time. Something beautiful is something that you want to keep with yourself always, right? You don't want to keep something stinking with you always. So remove the stink. Remove the nonsense. Nobody is so important that he deserves so much hatred. Right?
A very good evening to one and all. So when I was a student, the term was, which is actually very important, well-being. Probably it was never discussed, neither in the classroom nor outside the classroom. So I am really happy that we are sitting here, and outside the classroom we are having so much discussion, and the students, the way they asked you the questions, I was zapped. It's a revelation to me. What are they thinking? What is going in their mind? I could never understand. Because I've been teaching for 25 years, we teach them subjects like employee well-being, subjective well-being, but what are they actually? We are looking at their well-being. So this is a question which I am asking myself, what I've been doing for last 25 years. So it is a revelation, the kind of questions they've asked you and the way you answered, sir. I learned so much. So the theme of our the conclave is ideate. The theme of our the conclave is ideate, innovate and integrate. I think what you have made me and probably everyone here realize is कि आप अपने आप ही को विचार कीजिए, अपने आप पे विचार मर्ज कीजिए, रास्ता ढूंढिए, नया रास्ता ढूंढिए और उसको अपनी जीवन शैली में उतारें. Thank you so much, sir. It was such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you, sir.
I do wonder if Sadhguru, Acharya Prashad, and anyone else goes around to colleges to have these kind of talks with people. I think these are very important kind of things. Like, it makes me think about the times, kind of the times when I was back in college or in school, we did have some talks, but nothing along these lines. I guess perhaps in the West it's more external things, not necessarily a lot of internal at all. And again, I remember a comment a long time ago. It says, if you want to be successful externally, go to the West. If you want to be successful internally, go to the East, which I don't necessarily disagree with that, I mean, the West is in a lot of sense successful, but there's a lot of suffering for it. Of course, find a happy medium between external and internal success. That way you're not suffering in either one. If I can just clear my throat there. But nonetheless, though, I'm sure there's a lot of external success going on in India. I know it's a growing country now, which is a good thing. But it's such a big country. It's gonna take a while. Even in the United States, it's considered one of the top nations in terms of wealth, but there's still poor people. There's still homeless people. There's still broke people. There's still stupid people. And what I mean by stupid people, I don't mean like mentally handicapped. I mean like people who do dumb things. Yeah, no matter how successful a country is there's always going to be problems. But I think that's all because it lacks internal success, you could say. But also at the same time, the largeness, the land mass of the country, it's not going to help, say, bring the message to people. It's kind of like imagine trying to take care of your family, then imagine trying to take care of your city by yourself. It's going to be hard. So the more people that you have to try to take care of, the more difficult it'll be. But anyways, so essentially what I mean by that's like the government, trying to manage a lot of things, make sure everyone's treated equally and justly. It's just too hard. Too many people, big country, spread out. You just can't be everywhere at once. I'd say smaller countries have a better chance at that because there's not a lot of people. They're closer together, and they tend to be, how to say, culturally the same in a lot of sense, meaning that they have a lot of similar cultures. Where if your country's huge, there's going to be a lot of different kind of cultures. Why did I get into that? Anyways, that's my reaction to what is the limit of forgiveness. Acharya Prashant. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down, down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.